It is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. Welcome to another Galactic Netcast. This is the Alien Invasion number 1E11 in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I'm Dave Nelson. Joining me, as always, is Brad Ludwig and Anessa Moyens in Denton, not Denton, Texas. What the hell? Wausau, Wisconsin. I'm a little flustered, guys. We had some technical issues to start off, so we're just kind of rushing through because we have the other podcast starting right after this in like 40 minutes. So that's why I'm talking so fast. Anything? Nothing? You get nothing?
Nope. How about the news?
Oh. No, we're not going to jump in that quickly. I want to look at the top, too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to add any fluff. Let's go.
I felt like I was talking to myself.
Well, you also didn't ask how we were doing, I don't think.
Okay, well, that doesn't have to happen every time.
And you were like, let's get through this. We're like, okay, ready for the news.
Okay, you guys are good. You're good.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay, let's jump in now. This is the show where we talk about aliens, because it's called the Alien Invasion Podcast, and we're talking the aliens like extraterrestrial kinds, and their appearances in film, TV, video games, comic books, science, and in real life. The show, we break it down in 3 sections. The news, the craft corner, that's the spotlight of a certain kind of alien spacecraft, and our picks for the week. If you want to watch us live, just follow us on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll let you know when and where it's going to be, even when on nights when we say it's one time and at a certain link, and it's not. And we lied because we had technical issues. So, hang on one second. I don't have the soundboard up. So we can't start the show yet.
There's no show without the soundboard.
I know. Well, the soundboard's got the intros and stuff, so hang on.
Yay! Sound effects. The news.
That's the news? Let's try this instead. Good job, though.
In the news.
All right, who's up first? I'm not looking at the document.
I am.
All right.
That's much better than my noise.
Well, good effort, though, Anessa.
So, news. Ken Ham, for those of you that are not familiar with Ken Ham, he is the guy that runs the Creationist Museum in Kentucky, I believe it is. And he was recently in a debate with Bill Nye the Science Guy. And he's very stubborn with his beliefs, whereas when asked if there was anything that could potentially change your mind about your belief to both Bill Nye and Ken Ham, Bill Nye said, sure, just show me evidence. And Ken Ham was like, nope, no matter what you show me, no matter what you tell me, that's how it is. So he's back in the news again, and this time, upon the 45th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission landing on the moon, Ken Ham has said that he would like for us to discontinue the space program altogether because we're on a search for alien life, and there's no point in finding it because all aliens are going to hell. So, there is that. He mentioned this in a blog post, and the reasoning for his, as I mentioned, he said that there's no point in spending money on finding extraterrestrial life because aliens are going to hell, and the other reason is because the search for other life, he says, is a deliberate rebuking of God. And he writes, I'm shocked at the countless hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent over the years in the desperate and fruitless search for extraterrestrial life. Of course, secularists are desperate to find out or to find life in outer space, as they believe that would provide evidence that life can evolve in different locations and given the supposed right conditions. Ham does concede that the Bible does not specifically mention whether or not there is alien life. However, he is skeptical. And he writes again, and I do believe there can't be intelligent beings out in space because of the meaning of the gospel. He's basically saying that we are the only smart ones, and we're the only life in the universe. You see, the Bible makes it clear that Adam's sin affected the whole universe. This means that any aliens you would be affected by, or would also be affected by Adam's sin, but because they are not Adam's descendants, they can't have salvation. One day, the whole universe will be judged by fire, and there will be a new heaven and earth. God's Son stepped into history to be Jesus Christ, the God-man, to be our relative, and to provide sacrifice for sin, the Savior for mankind. Jesus did not become the God Klingon or the God Martian. Only descendants of Adam can be saved. God's Son remains the God-man as our Savior, Ham continues. In fact, the Bible makes it clear that we see the Father through the Son, and we see the Son through His Word. To suggest that aliens could respond to the gospel is just totally wrong.
Good. I'm glad that we've cleared this up. So the search is off. We're done looking. We can go home now.
Yeah, I shake my head. And of course, there are going to be lots of people that are going to listen to him, and those people aren't going to agree with him that there's no point in exploration. But it's not just about the search for life. It's to find out more about the place that we live and see how it could potentially affect Earth. So we might find planets in different stages of their life, and we can be like, oh, hey, it's potentially, there's a potential for the Earth to end up like this desolate planet that we found that looks like it might have once harbored life or something. So by learning about everything around us, we learn more about ourselves, and he's just taking into account that we're only looking for life, and that's not it at all.
And who's to say that our hell is their hell, and vice versa? Like, if an alien race has a hell, maybe their hell is our heaven, and vice versa. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I
get what you're saying, but I mean, who's to say that there is a hell? How do we know?
Yeah, exactly. And who's to say Christianity is the only valid religion?
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding.
So,
this is
Ken Ham, everybody.
This is why I hate organized religion. It's like what we say is the truth, and you can't believe anything else.
Yeah, well, not
It's
all
really
religion
fun
is
to
like
see.
that. It's just the extremists. Because I mean, there's cool Christians out there that are like, hey, I'm willing to learn stuff. And then there's people like this guy that's like, I don't care what you say. La 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 la. I only believe what I want to believe, whether or not it's wrong.
That's a very good point, Anessa. And the Catholic Church has actually been looking into the stars, or they've been astronomers for like almost since the very beginning of the founding of the church. Like they've had an observatory in Rome for like hundreds of years, I believe.
Probably. I never really kept up with that part of Catholicism or anything really.
No, I know they did.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I know for a fact they did.
But yeah, that's cool that they do that, and I'm sure they have their reasoning. And even if it's just to, hey, let's look at the heavens, let's see what we can see, let's see if there's anything like a message from God that's going to appear up there, whatever their reasoning, it's still really cool that they know that there's stuff out there.
Okay, Brad, you're going to say something. So, let's let you talk, and then we'll move on to the next story.
It was funny to watch a video of Pat Robertson after the Bill Nye debate, saying that Ken Ham should just shut the hell up.
That's pretty bad when Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson.
Yeah.
That was just
all the crazy crap that he talks about.
That was just telling for me.
In your car. You think it smells fine, but your passengers smell this.
What is that?
I have no idea. It's something from my computer though, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, all right. I thought Brad was trying to play something.
Nope.
No, it just. Honestly, I think it was the Kevin Ham story that I had up had an ad that decided to randomly play because I closed that tab and it stopped. Maybe it's God trying to send me a message that I shouldn't talk crap about Ken Ham.
Nah, no.
Not really.
All right. Thank you very much, Anessa. Let's move on to story number 2, and that is mine. And I'll make this real quick because there's not a whole lot of like actual content involved in the story, but it is kind of cool. Warner Brothers options movie rights to Space Invaders game. So it really comes as no surprise after the huge commercial success of Battleship. Although it wasn't a critical hit, it did make about $300 million worldwide. So Battleship brought the asses into the seats. So the movie production companies are saying, hey, what other franchises can we kind of mine for maybe a what do you call it? A nostalgia. So apparently Warner Brothers, they're going to make a movie out of Space Invaders. I don't know how they're going to do it because there wasn't much of a story to the video game. It was just basically aliens coming down from the top of the screen trying to kill you.
Well, there wasn't any aliens in Battleship either, and yet they tossed those in there. In the board game, you're just fighting an enemy country, trying to guess where their ships are.
Yeah.
And in the movie, you've got an alien invasion, so they can make anything up they want to.
Yes,
and just slap on the Space Invaders and maybe have some sort of throwback scene with some guy sitting on a computer playing Space Invaders or an old Atari cartridge or something.
Yeah, so it may not necessarily be a straight up alien invasion movie. That could be what do they call that when they it's one thing but it's actually another. It's help me out here. You know the word I'm trying to think of. A golden goose. No, that's not it. It's something like that. Anyways. Okay. Yeah, let's.
I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
I got nothing.
The good news for this is
Deception?
it's got some pretty good like people
A
attached.
herring.
Yeah, red herring. Thank you very much.
I'm like, wait, deception? No, it's a fish.
Yeah. The Wrap reports that producer Akava Goldsmith, they did. I don't know if it's a he or a she. They did The Winter's Tale. Joby Harold, Edge of Tomorrow. Tori Tunnel from the movie Awake, already attached to the project, which might increase its chances of actually reaching theaters at some point. But then again, films based on classic gaming franchises have yet to make it to the silver screen, including Asteroids, also been optioned to make it a movie. Spy Hunter and J.J. Abrams' Portal and Half-Life film projects are kind of on the shelf in lieu of doing Star Wars right now. So we'll see which one makes it to theaters first. Is it going to be Space Invaders? Is it going to be Asteroids? Spy Hunter? Now, refresh my memory. What the hell is Spy Hunter? I don't even know that one.
Spy Hunter was a great game that basically you drove a car and you could pick up different power-ups and you had to stop other like spy cars from that would try to get you off the road. It was kind of a fun game. And then at a certain point, you would drive into a special thing, and then you turn into a boat.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
I really see the possibility of video games actually becoming a thing for movies in the coming years because they're working on that movie Pixel, which is based on some kind of web video, as I recall, and also Ready Player One is also in development. So those are all video game, not directly tied to one particular video game, but they're video game related. So maybe that bodes well for these actual movies actually made from an actual video game. So I guess we'll see what happens.
That we will.
All right, wrapping up the news, Brad, you got some UFO photos from Chile.
Yes, Chile releases official study of UFO photos. So at there's a copper mine in Chile, and and it's 14,000 feet above sea level in the Andean Plateau in the far north of Chile. It's a very remote location, not a whole lot of oxygen there.
Wait a second. Before you go any further, didn't we talk about this once already?
We talked about them putting a special telescope in that area.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I know we've talked about the telescope, and I think they did like an in general thing about UFOs, but I don't think they've done these specifically.
They finally released, and by they I mean the Committee for
they were
these
actually investigating
anomalous aerial phenomena actually released their report.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this is brand new. This is, and we probably did talk about this before because this actual event happened April of 2013. And they've actually gone through, studied the images, and they double-checked with the Meteorological Association there, and the skies were absolutely clear, so it wasn't clouds. They're saying that they're making a good case for there being UFOs. The only catch to this is that the folks that worked at the mine do not want to speak about this because there's a stigma attached to, saying that you saw a UFO. So they're not able to ask follow-up questions or gather any more data. It's just going to be something that basically sits in the filing cabinet under, hey, this kind of happened at this point in time. And that's going to be it. It's really kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I read this story more than once, so I'm thinking that we talked about it when we actually didn't talk about it.
Probably. Because, yeah, I remember talking about how they were launching an investigation, but that was about it.
Now, the four witnesses were all technicians, so they understand electricity, electronics, and fluid control, and they're educated people, not prone to hysteria or not necessarily mistaking something that is technological that you could have just, something happened. They would understand it, but they ruled out drones. They ruled out strange cloud formations. They ruled out pretty much everything but UFO. Now, doesn't mean that it's aliens. It just means it's an unidentified flying object. But because, like I said before, they're not willing to come forward and talk more about it, they can't gather more data, ask follow-up questions, or try to find a way to get to the bottom of it.
The pictures are pretty convincing. And even like the blow-up ones, even the ones they've enhanced, zoomed and enhanced on, they look pretty good.
And they didn't use a crappy point and shoot. They used an actual, what is it? It's they have the make and model of the camera here in the story, a Samsung S860 camera.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking good quality gear. The Samsung S series is a... No, it's a... Here we go. Thanks, Samsung.
Oh, it's a... Well, it's not a new digital camera, but it's got pretty good reviews.
Yeah, it does 3 times optical zoom.
Yeah, 8.1 megapixels. So.
Okay.
Good for prints.
Yeah. So digital, and this model has digital image stabilization. So I mean, it was a good camera to, not the best camera in the world, but it was a good camera to have at that moment in time to take that picture.
How did this story morph into a commercial for the Samsung camera?
Well, I mean, people normally it's I took a picture with my phone. No, this is a very high quality camera. So
That
was
is
just-
true. I mean,
it was
it's just well, because people are probably wondering, well, what does that mean? Samsung S860. I want
Yeah,
to know what
that's
kind of camera it is, and so that's how we went into the specifics of Samsung commercials.
because Samsung does make phones. So I just wanted to illustrate the point that it wasn't a phone camera. It was a actual dedicated digital camera that
Okay.
has some abilities to it that would be awesome.
Okay.
Got 4 out of 5 stars on Newegg.
My wish is that these people would come forward eventually and actually talk about this, because if they can't confirm it, then it's a no-go. It's
Yeah.
it's done. It stops there.
Yeah,
So-
and this doctor that investigated the case in this story with the Huff, and this is from the HuffPo. The final statement for the story. That makes it either the real thing, UFO, or a hoax, and it doesn't appear to be a hoax, although the inability to question witnesses does reduce the credibility. Certainly this case is worthy of further study.
All right. Okay. All right. I said all right twice,
All right, all right.
All right, all right, all right.
and you said it 3 times. Thank you, Brad. Let's real quick skip over. We usually talk about how you can contact us, but we're in a hurry, so let's move on to this right here.
Please identify the craft you witnessed.
A black, triangular, three-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering minutes.
Shaped like almost like between an egg and like a teardrop.
2 long cylinder objects flying over me.
I could see the occupants in there.
appeared to be rotating, and it was on circular and disc shape, and it hovered for maybe about 5 minutes.
All right. Time for Craft Corner, famous alien spacecraft in history, and we've pretty much gone all the way through the actual UFOs that people have claimed to see here on Earth, and we are moving on to bigger and better things and to fictional craft. And I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this day, and Inessa stepped up. And what do you got for us, Inessa?
I actually went with the Cylon Base Star from Battlestar Galactica. I thought about doing the Battlestar, but we're the alien invasion, and the Battlestar has people on it, human created, not really a UFO. I don't know if Cylons would really be considered aliens since we kind of created them, but I figured it was close enough.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about the Cylon Base Star, but from the reimagined Battlestar Galactica 2004 through 2009 series, because that's what I'm familiar with. I've not seen the 1978 BSG, but according to Wikipedia, there are differences between the two. But I'm not going to really cover those differences, so there's that. The Base Star, or the base ship, is the primary capital ship of the Cylons, which, if you've not seen Battlestar Galactica, they are a race of, well, robots, I guess, for the most part. They eventually evolve into these I don't know, would they be like a cyborg sort of entity, flesh and mechanical?
They evolved from your traditional robot to almost unmistakable, unremarkable,
Yeah, they're very human-like, but
Yeah.
there are differences that are not, where they're not organic completely. They're not completely organic. So anyway, enough about the Cylons. But that's basically their ship. The base stars physically look like two Y shapes that have an axis in the middle, and they're offset and pointing in opposite directions. So, but these sections can swivel if they're flying into, say, a planet's atmosphere, so that way they can actually fly into it. They are designed to make FTL jumps faster than light, and are equipped to deploy large-scale strikes with nuclear and conventional ordnance. Base stars are biomechanical entities, and I did discover that there's an entire section on just bioships. And a bioship is essentially a ship that contains organic life. So it's not completely fabricated material. It's also organic material, and I thought that was really interesting. And this, of course, is listed in that. So in the reimagined series, from what I can tell, in the old series they were kind of badass. In the new series, they don't really have. They're not armed all that well, and their defense is primarily their Cylon Raiders, which are also hybrids, bioships. Base stars appear to have no kinetic energy weapons equivalent to those found on colonial warships. Deprived of their raiders, base stars are extremely vulnerable to colonial warships, so like the Battlestar Galactica. And let's see. In contrast, while the Galactica is heavily dependent on its Vipers for defense, it is heavily armored against nuclear and conventional weapons and has several batteries capable of maintaining a much higher volume of fire than the base star can achieve. So, sounds like it's a little weaker than the Battlestars.
That's weird. I could have swore I remember seeing the base stars actually firing weapons in the series.
I think they do, but they have like minimal, or maybe we're just thinking of the Cylon Raiders.
Okay, maybe we're thinking that the weapons that are actually coming from the Raiders are we thought were coming from the base stars, maybe.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Maybe. So we've discovered later in the series that base stars actually have the ability to heal itself. So I guess that's the good thing about being organic. You can repair yourself if you're a ship. Woohoo! Mm-hmm. The base star's internal functions are controlled by a part biological, part machine central computer system known as the hybrid. The biological part of the hybrid is a female humanoid Cylon-like, and she's housed inside an immersion tank similar to a Cylon rebirthing tank and attached to the mechanical part of the base star's computers by umbilicals.
And she's taking a bath all the time. How?
Yeah, she's completely soaking. All she needs is a Kindle or a good book to read. And she's got the life
right there.
Although she's going to have really pruny fingers by the end of it.
Yeah, that's true.
The hybrids do not have a completely human body, but they rather appear to be more like cyborgs, consisting of conduits and other connectors mated to or in place with the elements of their bodies. The hybrids don't make their own decisions. It's the Cylon humanoids that make all the decisions and tell the base star what to do. And the hybrid is not one of the 12 Cylon models. So there's that.
Okay. All right.
They're very similar to the autonomous pilots within the Raiders. And while it does have, as I mentioned, its own thoughts and stuff, like the hybrid, she doesn't make decisions. She just rambles. Probably everything that she's read just coming out.
Talks and riddles.
Yeah, it's basically riddles. So.
Or
yeah,
metaphors or something.
Yeah, it's just the ship itself. It's just really interesting to see, and it's so impressive. And then, at first thought, you don't really realize that it's partially organic. And later on, once you figure out that there is living material that make up the ship, it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating. So.
I can't wait. I can't wait till it's my turn because I think I'm going to pick the Borg cube because that's kind of along the same lines, right? Sort of.
Yeah, I think so.
Sort of.
It has it's sentient, I guess. I don't know if there's organic compounds.
But it's controlled by the hive mind, which is all the Borg, right?
Right.
And it heals itself.
So, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting, and yeah, there's a plethora of bioships listed. So.
is Voyager on that list? Because they had bioneural circuitry.
I believe so. Let me check.
Bioneural.
Voyager.
Circuitry.
Yeah, it breaks it down into film and television, movies, video games, books. And yes, Voyager was on it.
Cool. All right. Awesome. I'm on board. All right. Good job, Anessa. Thank you very much. That is your craft corner. Let's move on to our picks for the week. And Bradley, you are up first.
I am up first. I saw, and this is on Netflix. It's interesting, especially when you get to the 80s, when you get to sci-fi. In the 50s, sci-fi was about shocking people with, you know, crazy titles to movies and stuff like that. But when you get to the 80s, it's more about the gore, the shock factor from a visual aspect. And that's what the movie from 1986 called Night of the Creeps is all about. And it's like the perfect storm of a film for our show, because it's an alien invasion that turns people into zombies, and then the people's like heads will explode, and then they issue forth these slugs that take over people's brains and, you know, turn them into zombies, and they keep reproducing, but they need brain material in order to do it.
There's a lot going on there, Brad.
There is a lot going on here, and because it's the 80s, of course, there's a gratuitous shower scene in the film. So there you go.
Boobs.
All sorts of boobs, but just for a short period of time. You know, the one actor that I recognized in this film was Tom Atkins. And Tom Atkins was in John Carpenter's The Fog. He played the character Nick. And he's been in a number of films. He's been in My Bloody Valentine. He's been in... Oh, man. He's been in... let's see. I'm trying to do just films. But he's made appearances in like Xena Warrior Princess, Walker Texas Ranger. I mean, he's been in a number of things. You'd see his face and you go, oh, that guy. As a whole, of course, the special effects and stuff are from the 80s, so they're not anywhere near the quality that we have today. It's a very simplistic tale of a college kid who's in love with a girl that he can't have, or doesn't think that he can have, and then these alien creatures hit the campus, and all hell breaks loose, and they are kind of forced together to save the college and the kids at the college. So it's boy, it's not going to win any Academy Awards, that's for sure. But if it's on Netflix, and if you're looking for gratuitous head-exploding zombie aliens at a college campus, this is definitely your movie.
So basically, it is what it is. It's good, dumb fun.
Yes.
If you're looking for something from the 80s with those certain characteristics, that's it right there.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Great review.
You are welcome.
All right. My pick is a short film called Johnny Express. I found this on Vimeo. It's basically an animated short of this guy who runs this planetary package delivery service. He's got one ship. He's only one person, and it's all very automated. And he's kind of like he's almost like he's stuck in remote control, where he's been doing it for so long that he doesn't even think of what he's doing until not really until, but he lands on this planet. And he steps out, gets his package. He's ready to deliver it, and something falls out of the package. He can't see it; it's so small. Well, it turns out he's standing on this planet with millions of creatures on it that he can't see because they're so small. And it's funny because from his perspective, it looks just like a rock. It looks like his spaceship landed on this moon, and there's just craters everywhere, and you can't see anything. But underneath, there's all these creatures freaking out because their world's coming to an end. There's like this, their cities are being destroyed, people are dying, and then they keep on showing the guy who is supposed to be getting the delivery from this guy, and he gets flown into space, or gets like tossed into space somehow. I forget exactly, but it's interesting how it's all about perspective. How you think that there's absolutely nothing wrong, but on a smaller level, maybe there's a whole civilization under your foot, and you're destroying it without even knowing it. I thought it was really a cute story, and it's funny, it's quirky, but it's actually kind of touching, and you're like, oh my god, he just killed an entire world. Because I guess they didn't know. He didn't know that it was a civilization of microscopic beings. And I guess the person that ordered the thing through his delivery service didn't know that the delivery service was this huge, a lot bigger than he was. Anyways, it's a cute story. Check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes. Called Johnny Express, and that's my pick.
Cool.
All right. Final pick of the week, Anessa. Weird Al's been all over the place the last couple weeks. He just released his new album, first #1 album ever in his career. And you got something Weird Al related, right?
Yeah. I have Foil. It's a parody of Lord's Royals. And basically he released 8 videos each day for 8 days for 8 of the songs on his album, and this was one of them. The video is about aluminum foil, and it's different uses, and it starts out innocent enough. So he's at the restaurant, he doesn't finish his food, gets it to go, it's wrapped in aluminum foil, and then the next scene he's on a cooking show, and he's basically talking about how he wraps up the leftovers in aluminum foil and saves them for later, because that's the best way to wrap your food. And about halfway through, it just takes this turn that I didn't really see coming, and I loved it, and I'm like, I'm talking about that on the show. So yeah, the lights dim because he's the host of a cooking show, and he is basically talking about how he's aware of this organization and how you should wear aluminum foil on your head or in a hat, and that way it can protect you from having, of course, your mind read and from getting probed by aliens or having your mind read by aliens. So it's actually a pretty funny video, and they have like a little cartoon of like this guy bent over with an alien next to him, and then like the top of his head pops off and you see like this pink jelly just jiggling around.
Awesome.
And it stars Patton Oswalt as well, and it's got I kind of remember them from the state, and I can't think of their names, but they're on Super Troopers. It's the 2 cops on there, or a couple of the cops on there, and they come out as the Men in Black, and because Weird Al's onto them, and they kind of haul them off. So it's actually pretty funny, and they make a nod to the reptilians as well that we've talked about before on the show. So
sweet. Oh man, like we needed another reason to love Weird Al.
I know he's a great guy. He's funny. Seems to have a lot of fun making parodies and just funny music on his own, like own original stuff. So
yeah,
he's still at it after like 30 years. It's crazy.
Every new generation discovers or rediscovers Weird Al. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Also, Weird Al related, I saw, might have been Brad who posted it, but apparently, I only mentioned this because we watched the UHF on the Sci-Fi Film School, but apparently somebody made a porn out of it.
Oh, interesting.
So,
yeah, didn't need that to happen. Okay.
So, he's made it in more ways than one, I guess.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Great picks. I know that we're kind of hurrying things along here, but we're running late. We're up against the clock, so let's wrap it up
We've got
here.
like 11 minutes. We're good.
Yes. Go to galacticnetcasts.com and click on picks. Purchase the items related to our picks this week. Also on the website is contact information like our voicemail, 805-328-3966. We got links to our social networks, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and subscribe through the website, galacticnetcasts.com/subscribe. We do have feedback. We'll talk about that next week. But right now, let's say thanks for joining us for this Galactic Netcast, the Alien Invasion number 111. Final thoughts. Let's go around the room. Brad, you're first.
Holy crap, a 40-minute show.
Yeah, I never thought it'd be possible, but we did it.
Nope.
And Brad, or Anessa, you have to actually say your final thought.
So say we all.
So say we all.
It's on the
All right,
mug.
guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.